Yo YouTube, what's up? I'm Tim, and this is the NFL Final Score. This is a new show we're starting. I'll be in this mostly. Maybe a little KJAC, anyone else who I bring on this show will be in it too. But for the most part, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to recap every NFL game every Sunday or Monday. I might not be able to get the Sunday night or Monday night games in. I apologize for that, but I'm sorry. It's just how my schedule works out. But we're going to recap the games, and then we're going to talk about the biggest story. The biggest story this week, I think, is the Mike Vick, Kevin Kolb controversy that's going there. But first, let me get you up to date on the scores that have happened so far. First game, Miami beat Buffalo 15-10. That was a good game. Buffalo almost won it, but Trent Edwards could not lead a late downfield or a late rally downfield for the Bills. They ended up getting a safety, and then the Dolphins iced it with a first down. Chicago beat Detroit on a controversial game. Detroit technically lost that game, but the rule is stupid. Calvin Johnson, I believe it was, dropped a touchdown pass getting up after he caught what would have been the game-winning touchdown. According to the NFL rulebook, that is a dropped pass. So the referees got it right on this one. I hate to say it to you, Detroit. I think it's stupid too, but they're only doing what they're told to do, and they got this one right. Tennessee beat Oakland 38-13. I was surprised at how far away this game was. Chris Johnson had a nice day. Vince Young actually had a pretty nice day, 2 touchdowns. Oakland's a tough team to figure out. We'll see what they do. I think they play the Browns next week. They play the Rams next week. That should be a game where Oakland wins, but they're tough to tell. I can never gauge what Oakland's going to do. One week they lose to the Giants by 40 points. The next week they lose to the Eagles, or they beat the Eagles 14-10. That's what happened last year. They're a tough team. Next game is New England beat Cincinnati 38-24, and really 38-24 is pretty close. At points in this game, I think it was like 24-0. It was not a good game. Carson Palmer, T.O., that whole thing just did not work out all that well this first game. Look, Carson Palmer has all the weapons there, and if he doesn't step up this season, I think there's going to be questions. I mean, I am one of the people that thinks Carson Palmer cannot get it done in the big moment. I hate to say that, but he's never won a playoff game. I know he hasn't been in a lot, but he's been in 2, and he has the weapons there. He should be stepping up. This should be a Bengals team that goes to the playoffs, and I'm just not sure. The Giants beat Carolina 31-18. That was a close game for a while. The Giants spread apart late. It's tough. I mean, the Giants were the better team in this game, and that was the bottom line. The Panthers did not look that great, and I think the Giants looked better than a lot of people thought. The running game was solid for the Giants the entire way through. Pittsburgh beats Atlanta in overtime. That was not a game I expected. Dennis Dixon played well with the stuff he had to do, but mostly it was Rashard Mendenhall. He had a big game, including the game-winning touchdown. The Steelers won that one. And I got news for you guys. The Steelers tried to trade Ben Roethlisberger to maybe go get Sam Bradford this offseason to the Rams. It did not work out, but if we're hearing rumors that if the Steelers go 3-1 or 4-0 in these next few games, Dennis Dixon may just stay the starter. That is going to happen. If they are 3-1 or 4-0, they want to do this because the Rooney family does not want Ben Roethlisberger as the leader of that franchise, but I don't think they were just going to give him up for nothing. If they feel like they have a viable option, they will give him up. Tampa Bay beat Cleveland 17-14. A bad game. I picked Cleveland. Jake Delhomme sucked. He just can't play anymore. That's the bottom line with Jake Delhomme. He throws too many picks. Jacksonville beat Denver 24-17. Who called that one? I did. Thank you very much. And Houston beat Indy. I like what Houston can do this season. I didn't expect them to win this game, but this shows how good Houston really is. Alright, so the big story now, Kevin Kolb. Can he get the job done? Can he not get the job done? He obviously did not in the Sunday game against the Packers, which the Eagles ended up losing 27-20. It was not close when he left. They were down by like 17. I almost turned the game off at one point because Vick came in and I figured, you know what, no, he's not going to. They're not going to win this game. He almost won them the game, but I think a lot of people are under the impression that Kevin Kolb just flat out sucks. That he cannot play the position of quarterback in the NFL, and he sucks, and he just needs to go. I think he had some jitters first time. You gotta look at some other stuff though. Stewart Bradley left the game injured. Jamal Jackson, his center, left the game injured. The offensive line, as I said, is a mess. Leonard Weaver left the game injured, and I know he's only the fullback, but this team uses him like a running back, and when you lose a piece like that, he is one of the bigger run options on this team. You're not going to be as successful. He can also do some blocking. So, I mean, they lost a lot of guys injured, not to mention a lot of the second quarter part Kevin Kolb played, he had a concussion, which he left part of the second half game. Or after the first half, he left because he just couldn't play anymore. So here's what it comes down to. Next week, the Eagles play the Lions. Michael Vick put on a clinic this week. He was tremendous. I'm critical of Vick, but he showed me wrong. He was able to throw. I'm not going to jump to any conclusions after one game, but Michael Vick looked good. He looked like he knows how to play the position of quarterback. The Eagles play the Lions next week. If Kevin Kolb cannot go, Michael Vick will go, and the Eagles will win that game next week. And if they win with Vick, you know what the Philly fans are going to be saying, and I'm one of them. Well, I don't know if I'm going to be saying this, but I'm a Philly fan, and I know what they're going to be saying. They're going to be saying, put Vick in, put Vick in. Can you blame them? I can't. Because if Vick does this and he's able to go out there next week, it's hard to bench a 2-0 guy for someone that was awful in his first start. I don't think it's right because I think judging off the Detroit Lions is a mistake, but that may end up being what they have to do. Here's the thing with Vick that I just don't like all that much. He's 30 years old, so you're going from Kolb, who's like 26, a guy you've waited for 3 years. You're going to give him one start, half a game, and you're going to say, oh, no, he can't be the starter anymore. You traded McNabb essentially to give a guy 2 quarters. I just think you need to give Kevin Kolb more time. And I think you can't jump to conclusions with Michael Vick. Kevin Kolb, you gave him this team in the offseason by trading Vick. And because Vick does well, you can't just replace him. Because he had one bad game, you need to give him at least 5 games. That's what it's come down to with me. Because I think Michael Vick played very well today, but I think he played over his head. He completed a lot more passes than I think he normally will. Kevin Kolb played way under what he can do. A lot of people compare him to Drew Brees. And what I noticed when they took him out of the game, they ran the ball more, so the passing game was opened up more, and the wide receivers just seemed to run better routes and be more open. Now, Kolb did overthrow, underthrow, and was intercepted in this game, but I still felt Vick had better options to throw to him. I think Deshaun Jackson and Brent Selleck got open a bit more. I don't know. This is a very tough decision, and I think you need a couple weeks. If you're going to give Vick the starting job, don't take it away from him after 2 weeks. Give him a few weeks. But I think you got to go back to Kolb for assuming he can play. You waited 3 years with this guy. He has the right mindset. You can't bench a guy after giving him not even one game, 2 quarters. It's just not going to work. And the Philly fans are saying, put Vick in, Kolb sucks. Well, part of getting rid of McNabb was, you said, and most of this was said, I listened to the radio stations around here. People are saying, you know what, yeah, we're willing to give up a season to go through the growth period of Kolb. Well, if you're going to say that, then you have to actually be willing to give up the growth period to go through the change with Kevin Kolb. I don't know where that went, but people just don't appear after 2 quarters to be willing to go through that. Sometimes, look at the Packers. They went through a whole season. Now, Aaron Rodgers wasn't really the problem. It was more the Packers. The rest of the team wasn't very good. But they gave up a season. Last year they made it to the playoffs. This year I think they'll take another big step. Maybe even go to the Super Bowl. It's not just a 1-year process with a quarterback, that he just steps on the field and is this tremendous thing. Michael Vick goes out there. He knows what it's like to be a starter in a big city. He was in Atlanta. He was a starter there. He's been there. He's done that. He knows how to play there. And he knows how to play in Philly in a big game, NFC Championship 2004. Kevin Kolb does not. So maybe he got his jitters out of the way, and maybe he'll be able to go out there. Look, I mean, I'm not saying he's going to be Joe Montana, but I'm also not saying after one game that you can just tell that he sucks or he doesn't. And I think that's what the impression of most of these people around here is, that Kevin Kolb just terrible. Terrible. He should just be out of the NFL the rest of his career, and that's not right. The guy waited 3 years, and I think to take away his spot for someone who... I just don't think Michael Vick can win a Super Bowl. I think he proved it with the Falcons, that he's fun to watch and it's an amazing show and you'll win games, but I don't think it's good enough to win a Super Bowl. Vick still likes to take off a lot, and I think this needs to be Kevin Kolb's team. They named it the Kevin Kolb era. The Kevin Kolb era at this point may be 2 quarters, and that's just not right. This is the NFL Final Score. I'm Tim. I want to hear your thoughts on this. Leave it in the comments. Hit me up. Twitter, Cash Kelly and AC. Facebook, Cash Kelly and AC Sports Report. Anything. I posted the question on both of those. Who should be starting for the Eagles next week, Kolb or Vick? That's all assuming Kolb can go. The concussion's fine. He's been cleared, which I think will happen. Who should go? I think it's going to be Kevin Kolb, but I don't think there's going to be a lot of fans that agree with that. And if Kevin Kolb is a bad game next week, I think there's going to be even less fans that agree with that. I think you got to give him some time. It's his first year as a starter. But let me know, because it's tough. It really is. It's a tough call. But if Michael Vick was 20, I don't think this would be a tough call, because I think you would go with him, or you would have gone with him in the first place. But he's not. He's 30 years old. He's proven that sometimes he makes bad decisions off the field, and to invest yourself into someone like that just may not be the smartest thing. And people are going to say, oh, well, he went to jail and he's been fine since then. Actually, no, he hasn't. If you followed that whole thing with him going to the party, and it was dumb, but he didn't stay out of trouble. Kevin Kolb just doesn't seem like the limelight type that needs to go to parties. I think he seems like a good face of the franchise, and I don't know. This is a very, very interesting debate that I think was just bound to be started. I think a lot of guys in the offseason called this, that Kevin Kolb is going to get hurt. Well, he got hurt basically because the offensive line was terrible in this game. He got a hard hit, and we'll see what happens. I'm Tim. The NFL Final Score is over.